Okay, so Matthew chapter 5, I'm going to read the Beatitudes, and there's a start in Matthew chapter 5. So, now, when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up to a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them. He said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Okay. So, I remember when I first read the chapter, it might not be the first time I read it, because I probably got it read in Sunday school and things I went to. I remember when I first sat down and read it on my own, and I read through all the next couple of chapters, because there's lots of teaching Jesus brings on money, and on worrying, and on all different aspects of life, and I found it really helpful. I thought it was really good stuff. It's probably the biggest chunk of Jesus' teaching. But the Beatitudes themselves, these sayings, I thought, I didn't like them. I was like, what is he talking about? It just seems really like waffling, doesn't it? I know it's not, and it's God's word, and we're going to look into it, but I never really thought, well, what does that actually mean? They just sort of seem like strange sayings, don't they? Well, they show us, they reveal something of God's kingdom, his upside down kingdom. Do you know the world has sayings, yeah? And they have sayings where people say things, don't they? Like truisms, you might call them, the world has. And they're not Christian thinking, but some of them are Christian things, like catchphrases. You know, the words they like, so, no one's perfect. A phrase that gets trotted out, doesn't it? Now, the world trots out lots of different things like that. And they're often, lots of them are against these Beatitudes. These Beatitudes, they lay the foundations, they're like general truths for his more specific teaching to come. Okay? So he's like painting big truths, big pictures, before he gets into the nitty-gritty of what about adultery, what about worrying, what about finances. The first word of each of the Beatitudes is blessed. Blessed is the end goal. In a sense, the sense of well-being and inward joy. That's what this blessedness is about. Blessed by God. Whereas today's word that might be used, instead of blessed, we'd use a word with a H.
Happy.
Yeah, happy, don't we? And Pharrell Williams, is it Williams? Is that right? Yeah, he sings about it, doesn't he? Yeah. And so we talk about happiness, where God's here talking about a blessing. So the disciples are called to be salt and light in verses 13 to 16, isn't it? It says about you are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. And these Beatitudes show us in general picture what this salt and what this light looks like. So the disciples are called to be salt and light, and these Beatitudes show us something of what that salt and light should look like. When I was preparing this, what helped me to understand what the Beatitudes are saying is to think, what is the opposite? Okay? And that really helped me to understand, because it's like, what is he talking about here? So I thought a good way of doing it is I worked out what the opposite of the Beatitude was. So for each Beatitude, I wrote my own opposite of it, what the world would say, and they all start happy are. And as we go through them, I want you to have a go at writing the opposite one as well. So that's why I want you to be next to someone. So the first Beatitude is this: blessed are the poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to them. Now what I want you to do is to think of what the opposite would be. I've got pens and paper, it helps you to jot it down, or you can just chat to the person next to you. What you got from that one, the Beatitude was, blessed are the poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to them. I'll show you mine, shall I first? And then you can, if you want to share yours. But happy are the confident go-getters, for the world and its wealth can be theirs. So what did anyone else? Something you get.
Happy are those that have everything, for theirs is the kingdom of hell.
Kingdom of hell. Yeah, it's right. Yeah.
Blessed are the rich in money.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's what we've got. Blessed are the rich, for theirs is the world.
Yeah.
But it's not talking about money.
No, it's not right. Yeah.
Or you could be greedy and dump all poor people, vote Tory.
Okay.
Be a
A little party political bit.
borrow money, bro.
Okay. So the poor in spirit we have in there, this is the blessed are poor in spirit. That's about like a humbleness. Okay, so poor in spirit is like a humbleness. Do you know, it's not financially poor, but like a sense of your spirit being poor. And you in the sense of you are humble, you are happy in your position and where you are. It's not about like a mental health thing. That's not about being depressed and you're poor in spirit. You know, you can be high-spirited as well. In the sense of like this, you can be complaining and moaning about your lot, and you can be quite high-spirited about that, can't you? And saying, "Oh, it's a horrible situation." So that's not what it's talking about. It's talking about someone who is happy with where they are, happy with their lot that God has given them in life. And it's a picture of you sort of accepting that God has wisdom in the situation He's given you, in that place that you're in today, a humbleness about yourself. And for those people, it says the kingdom of heaven belongs to them. So the kingdom of heaven is a kingdom full of humble servants who receive and partake in the kingdom that's to come, the kingdom of heaven. That's what it'll be like. Do you know, in heaven, there won't be proud people. There won't be people lording it over one another. There'll be a kingdom where everyone will be that sense of poor in spirit. They're happy with where they are, happy with their lot in life. So the next one is, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. So what do you think the world would say about that? The opposite of that?
Well, they don't need comforting.
Yeah, that's good. What was your one?
Yeah, happy are those who celebrate, for they enjoy life.
Oh, yes, it's opera of celebrating every morning. That's good, yeah.
We have happy are those who rejoice, they do not need anyone else.
That's good. I put, happy are the pleasure seekers, for they will enjoy life. It's strange, the world would never say, like, happy are those who mourn, would they? I mean, it's Jesus saying, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. And the mourning is not like a mourning over death particularly, but a mourning over sin, and a mourning over other people's sin. It's not just that we will be happy are those who've had someone who's died, there's a sense of a mourning over the things in life that are worth mourning over. Sin. And sin, the death is a consequence of sin, isn't it? So mourning over sin and your own sin, and other people's sin. And there's a future focus of the blessing, isn't there? For they will be comforted. A picture of Revelation there where Jesus says He'll wipe away every tear from their eyes. It's a sense of a delayed gratification, isn't it? There's a delay before you get your comfort. It's a bit like the orthodontist. So if anyone's had to have a brace, and I had to have a brace. So at 13, I was meant to have it, and I didn't have it. But I remember the day before going, I hated the idea of going. I was kicking off, didn't want to go. And it took 3 years to go through the pain and the tightening and not being able to bite when they tighten, all that sort of stuff. But the result is 3 years later, you get straighter teeth, don't you? And that's the picture here, is that you've got to go through stuff before you actually get the good at the end of it. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. And then the next one is, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. So if you want to spend your time talking about that one, yeah, that's good. Happy and strong, for they will rule the world. What did you say? What was your one?
What you said?
What was your one? You saying they're cheating?
Yeah, they're cheating.
What was your one? The same.
Yes, we'll try the next one down.
Happy are the strong, for they will get everything.
Yeah. It's the opposite. I'm asking what the opposite is.
Happy are the proud and stubborn, for they won't inherit the earth.
Okay? Yeah.
They won't get what they want.
Yep.
Blessed are those who are confident, prosperous, and the world is theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the word says.
Yeah.
Any more? Go on, yes, everyone else.
We had happy are the stubborn, for they have all that they will get.
Yeah, I put happy are the bold and assertive, for they will get what they want.
Yeah.
That's what the world sort of says, isn't it? Jesus says, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. What is it? What is this? Meekness? Those who quietly submit themselves to God, to His word, to His discipline, to follow His directions, to comply with His design. That's a sense of meekness that is being called for. Self-control can be a key ingredient of meekness. That not overreacting to situations or underreacting to situations, but having a sense of living out God's purpose on your life. We can get into a Christianity where we treat God like a genie, can't we? Where we say, like, this is how we want God to be. We want Him to give us this wish and that wish. And that God is the one who owes us something. But meekness would be a sense of, no, we're here living out our lives for God. And that He would want to shape us rather than we shape Him. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. The next one is, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Is that the next one? Hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Anyone want to hear back what your opposite one was, or is?
Blessed are those who are satisfied, they will never grow.
Say again.
Happy are those who are satisfied, they will never grow.
Happy are those who are satisfied now. Satisfied they'll never grow. Any others want to share? Ruben found a website, secular.
Yeah, there's a list of them on here.
Go on then, what's your one say?
On here it says, blessed are those who hunger for fame because they get reality TV shows.
Okay, I wrote, happy are those who get their fill of fun, frivolity and laughter. So hunger and thirst are like our highest needs, aren't they? You know, our hunger needs to be satisfied and our thirst needs to be refreshed. So if I say things like burgers and chips, or chocolate, or ice cream, does anyone want to eat any of those? Burger and chips is one of the things that it's like the things that I want often. You can resist the Slimming World. To one of those.
Chicken salad.
What are those bars you have though? Those ones that they get at Slimming World?
Hi.
High five bars. Does that make you hungry? Or is anyone hungry right now? Anna's hungry. Quiche. Not for a burger though. Not for a burger.
Well, you are eating the two, Hannah, so there you go.
A hunger and thirst is one of those things that it sort of never goes away. I know we get full, and then we just have half an hour and have dessert, don't we? It doesn't last. We always just want to keep consuming. It's a thing that never ends. And so it takes over our lives, and some people's lives get dominated by food, don't they? And blessed are those who have that sense of that appetite for righteousness. Well, our righteousness is found in Christ, isn't it? That's where we know our righteousness is found. It's in Christ, and we are to hunger and to thirst after Him. Philippians tells us, what is more, I consider everything a loss, compared to the surpassing worth of knowing Christ my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things, and consider them rubbish, that I may gain Christ. So the reality of us knowing this as Christians is, blessed are those who hunger and thirst after Christ, for they will be satisfied. And then the next beatitude is, blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. So anyone got the world's view of that one?
We have happy are the merciless, for they think they are powerful.
There you go. Happy are the merciless.
Blessed are those who are ruthless.
Yeah.
They will be rewarded.
Yeah. I used the word mean. So yeah, happy are those who are mean, for they will please themselves. But the one is blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Mercy, go on, here's your schooling.
Or, and this is slightly a quote from the Bible, which I think, blessed are those who murder, kill, and behead brothers and sisters, for they think they are doing God a favour.
Okay, yeah? So I mean this, isn't it? The merciful in the world are not seen as to be the wisest, are they? People who show mercy to people. The world doesn't big them up particularly. Have you ever used heard the phrase or said to you, don't be a doormat? That's the world says, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't be a doormat. Stick up for yourself. You've got to stand up for yourself because no one else will. And these are the phrases that the world uses, but Jesus flies in the face of that, doesn't he? Say, blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. It's most often better to let people walk over you and to not stand up for yourself. It's probably the best thing to do, especially for the witness of Christ. It's probably better to take the risk of someone walking over you than the risk of you walking over someone else for the witness of Christ. I'm pretty sure that's the best place to be. And this Beatitudes said, doesn't it? That compassion, seeing things from other people's perspectives, is to be praised. In Psalm 41, it says this, blessed is he that considers the poor. Blessed is he that considers the poor. And it's a good thing to have mercy amongst the church, but also in the world, isn't it? Be people who take account for other people's perspectives, or take account for where other people are at, and to show mercy, for they will be shown mercy. And the next one. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. I don't know what anyone get for that.
Miserable are the evil, it's not happy, are they?
No.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
The evil, for they will not know God.
Say again?
Miserable are the evil, for they will not know God.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. So evil is the word you use, yeah? Instead of pure in heart. That's good.
Happy are the sinners, for they enjoy the world.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's almost like a Proverbs one, isn't it?
Blessed are those who are adventurous and explore life, adultery, sexual immorality, drugs, etc.
What's ETC? Ron, you seem to be well versed in this one. What's your one on the back say?
Blessed are the impure pleasure seekers because they see a good time.
If you want to know more about that, ask Ron.
Stacey told me
Oh, okay. You just describe the right answer. Keep it going.
Don't say neither.
Okay. I put the more you can get away with, the happier you'll be.
Yeah.
1 Timothy tells us this. It says this. The goal of this command is to love, which comes from a pure heart and a good conscience and a sincere faith. So one of the purest and most refined delights in the world is that of doing good. One of the purest and most refined delights in the world is that of doing good. Blessed are the pure in heart. And you have a pure in heart is a sense of having a good conscience, isn't it? You know when you can go home to your bed and you go to bed and you think, I've done as I should have done today, and you can sleep well. Our hearts need to be in that position, don't they? A good, clear conscience. And sometimes that comes from admitting guilt, doesn't it? Admitting your sin, because that helps you to get a clear conscience, where there's something hanging over you, isn't it? You can't have a clear conscience like that. And I remember when I was younger, I got a friend to come and fix our computer, and then my dad's brother, my uncle, he needed his computer fixed. And I just lied, saying, well, no, he can't do it, because I didn't want to ask him anymore. And I had that hanging over me. It was until I actually said, oh, then worked out they did go and fix it. We need clear consciences, don't we, as believers? We need to confess our sin. And that's the only way to get back to a pure heart, is to confess your sin. Confess your sin. And then seek to live good before God again. And it's a conscience cleansed, the relief of guilt gone, is the end of this beatitude. Is probably the most comprehensive blessing of all the blessings. There's lots of different blessings, isn't there? It says at the end what those blessings are. And this probably is the most comprehensive, isn't it? For they will see God. It's like all the others together, isn't it? That's what it is about, seeing God. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. So the next one. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. What did anyone want to share what they had for that one?
Blessed are those who beat their opponents because the victors write the history books.
Okay, it's about winning and beating.
He said, blessed are, happy are the troublemakers, for they will have no one to answer to.
Yeah, troublemakers.
Happy are the warmongers, for they think the world belongs to them.
Say again, sorry.
Happy are the
Warmongers.
Yeah, for they think that the world belongs to them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But happy are the persecutors, for they are in charge.
Yeah? Yeah. But happy are those who win battles, for they will be successful.
And miserable are the troublemakers, but they'll be called children of Satan.
Yeah, troublemakers. Okay, so peacemakers, to make peace. This is a mark of the children of God, isn't it? He says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. It's a mark of the children of God. They will be peacemakers. And to be a peacemaker, you need some sense of peace yourself. In your own life, peace with God, peace in your family, peace with humanity. Some people should be angry with everything, don't they? And everyone. And angry people aren't the best peacemakers. So first, to be people who bring peace to situations, to be peacemakers, we need to have that peace with God ourselves, the peace with life, lot in life we've got, a sense of peace in our family and with the community and with everyone really. Because God's called us to be peacemakers in this world. And you know what your main area of peacemaking will be? It's not likely to be the Middle East. It's not likely to be an envoy to some country. But the area where you're likely to make peace is in the church and in your family. That's probably your primary role of being a peacemaker. It might happen on the street as you're breaking up fights or whatever as well. But that's probably more of a rarity. Your main domain will be like the people around you in your family, the people in this church. Or you could be something like a peacemaker in this church. Will you be not a troublemaker but a peacemaker in the church and in your family? Because that's the mark of a child of God. And then the last one we combine them to do is the same thing really, isn't it? Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to them. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and say all kinds of evil falsely on account of me. Rejoice and be glad, because your reward in heaven is great. For they persecuted the prophets before you in the same way. So what do people have for that one?
Happy are those that are worshipped for their own glory. They have their own kingdom now.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Has everyone got one for this one? You got one? Let's see yours in green.
We've got happy are those who by changing their beliefs avoid persecution.
Okay. Say again.
Happy are those who by changing their beliefs avoid persecution.
Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I just said happy are those who avoid trouble and live in ease. Yeah. Okay, so that's all of them, isn't it? Well done, that's really good. This one at the end, last one, is doubled, isn't it? So it says it twice. It says, blessed are those who are persecuted, and blessed are you, and gives it a bit more detail. And it's doubled because it's more evidence of the opposition we are likely to face of people of God. There's emphasis given in the Bible, isn't there, when you say things twice? So he says, verily, verily, or truly, truly, I tell you. And his Beatitudes done the same thing. He said it twice to reinforce its significance. That it's likely that we're going to face opposition, and there's a blessing in facing that opposition. It's not the suffering that makes the martyr, but it's the cause that makes the martyr. It's those who are in Christ who are going to suffer, and the blessing is found in Christ. Now these Beatitudes, as we've worked through them, they're upside down compared to the world, aren't they? The world would see good things in being a troublemaker, good things in enjoying yourself and letting go and not worrying so much about sin. And they're not the message that we hear. The world gives different messages to what these Beatitudes give. These Beatitudes say there's blessing in beatings, blessing in mourning, and blessing in denying yourself. And the message is, receive your blessing later. It talks about inherit the earth. Well, as Christians now we don't inherit the earth. Now that's a thing to come, isn't it? When the new heavens and new earth come. So that's a later. And it says you will be comforted, you will be shown mercy, you will be called children of God, you will see God, and the kingdom of heaven will belong to them. It's later. Imagine the kid who comes and asks for chocolate, and you say later. Do you know, it doesn't stop the appetite, does it? But God's saying, no, don't live as the world would have us live. Look, there's a blessing to come later. The world says, get what little you can now. Get what little you can now. So imagine you have those big chocolate bars. Yeah, they're quite big, those big ones. It's like the world says, you can have one square now. You can have one square now. But God's got like a whole big bar for us later if we hold on. But we're like, no, we'll have our crumb. We'll have this one little square and we'll enjoy it and it'll be gone and we'll be, oh, thirsty or I want some more. But that's it, that's all the world offers. It offers one little square. And we've forsaken this big bar to come. Jesus' teaching says, get a lot later. Don't have a little now, get a lot later. A greater reward. Do you know one of the amazing things about the Beatitudes is that we get to see Jesus. So Jesus taught, didn't he, as a one who had authority. And the reason he had authority was, yes, he was God, and that gives you authority, doesn't it? But he just didn't just bring words, but he showed us his life. And he backed up the Beatitudes in his living. He lived them out. He didn't just say them. Poor in spirit. Jesus humbled himself. He emptied himself, didn't he? And he became like a servant and was willing to die on a cross. He was poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. We see a picture of Jesus weeping over Jerusalem, like sheep without a shepherd. As he looked at their state they were in, he had compassion on them and cried and mourned about their state. Blessed are the meek. We see Jesus is in the garden and he's praying to God, let me get out of this. If not your will, if not my will, but let your will be done. In his moment of trouble, he still went to God. He went with what God would have him do. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. We find throughout the Gospels that Jesus would retreat to mountainsides alone to pray. And we find that he would pray overnight. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. And blessed are the merciful. And you know, Jesus is on the cross, and he's dying on the cross, he's being crucified. And the guy next to him, who was earlier on hurling insults at him, he says to him, today you will be with me in paradise. And blessed are the pure in heart. And we see a chapter earlier, or 2 chapters earlier, that Satan comes and tempts Jesus. And he resorts to Satan with God's word, saying, man does not live by bread alone, but on every word that comes out of the mouth of God. Jesus was pure in heart. And blessed are the peacemakers. Well, Jesus made peace with God on our behalf. His body for us literally took the bullet that was aimed at us. Jesus was the embodied envoy, the peacemaker, who fell down from heaven for us. He made peace with God through his body, through his death. And if anyone lived out the beatitude, blessed are the persecuted, Jesus did, didn't he? Before he was born, assassins were conspiring. Herod was planning to kill him before he was even born. And as we see his life, people tried to kill him again and again. And he said he had no place to lay his head, had no real home. And when he comes to his crucifixion, the crowd spat at him, ridiculed him, belittled him, beat him to the point of death, and then crucified him. Blessed is the King of Kings, the Lord of all. Do you know what? True blessing is found in Christ. And as we look at these Beatitudes, we see all that blessing that is there for us. We find it in Christ for us, who is our righteousness. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a short time of prayer. And if you want to pray in your twos, and just want to pray for one another, that pray that that person might find blessing in these Beatitudes, that they might be one of them that spoke to them, they need to change something, or don't have to go into great detail, just pray over one another, that you would find blessing in the Beatitudes. Because that's what Jesus said. There is a blessing for you in living in this way. Not how the world wants you to live, but living for God. So just do that, that'd be great.